Joining us on Catholic Lunch Break is Father Mitch Pacwa. You know Father Mitch from host of EWTN Live. You've known him from EWTN TV shows as well as EWTN Radio. We're happy to have Father Mitch here in our studios in Houston, KSHJ. Father Mitch, thank you so much for coming by our studio, being able to see everything. We did renovation once a year, and you're getting to see this nice new studio.
Oh, it's nice. As a matter of fact, I was just complimenting your producer here. It's nicer than the one at the mothership in Birmingham.
Birmingham. Now, that's where you're based out of course, is
Yes,
Birmingham,
yes.
Irondale, where EWTN is based. And, of course, we at the Guadalupe Radio Network are an EWTN affiliate, so we, of course, play your programs. Tell me a little bit about now how long you've been doing programs for EWTN.
I did my first program with Mother Angelica back in February of 1984. It was, a matter of fact, I remember it well, it was February 29th.
Wow.
I used to tease Mother that I was her Sadie Hawkins Day date. Now, do you know Sadie Hawkins Day?
I was going to say I'd recognize it, but I don't remember it offhand.
Yeah. It was actually this pseudo-celebration that was started by a cartoon called Little Abner.
Okay.
And they had this Sadie Hawkins. There was this one girl that was always chasing Little Abner to marry him. And she was ugly. They painted her ugly. And and on Sadie Hawkins Day, it was always the regular joke that he would have to hide because a woman could ask the guy for a date. Normally, the guys always asked ladies for dates. When I was growing up, that was the norm. I think that's changed nowadays, but again, it's been 56 years since my last date.
Haven't had to worry about that being a priest.
No, I haven't worried about that. But the Sadie Hawkins Day, you could ask, the girl asked you. So I used to tell Mother since she asked me to be there, I was her Sadie Hawkins Day date.
Yeah, it's incredible to think that it's been 40 plus years that you've been doing work for EWTN and still going strong. You are now 75 years old, if I'm thinking correctly.
That's the one after 74, so yes.
You know, I tell you, Father Mitch, you still feel very, very sharp. I talk to you, you pick up on all my jokes. How do you feel being 75 years old?
I like it, especially considering the alternative.
All right. Exactly. You're still kicking, moving around, doing stuff.
I am. You know, and I still come back to Texas not only to speak at different places, but in the winter and sometimes other seasons, if it's the right kind of game, I like to come over here and do some hunting. I love Texas.
Yeah, absolutely. And to that capacity, you always like to wear your belt buckle. You've brought in your hat, by the way. So for people who are watching via video, we've got your hat here on the here in the studio. So we appreciate that. That's always adds a little extra flair. We appreciate that. Yeah.
You know, I'll never forget once being in Birmingham. Some parishioners have horses, so I was out at their ranch, riding, and they raise cattle and things like that. And the whole family and we all went to get something to eat at this one restaurant. And as we're waiting for our food, this Yankee lady, she sounded like she was from the East Coast, says, to one of the little kids, is that your Halloween costume? I said, ma'am, this is what we call clothes.
Just what he wears. Just what he wears.
We just got off of horses.
Right.
You know?
She had to let that process and just realize that's just what he wears.
It's not a costume, sweetie. Bless your heart, but this is...
it's what's in the closet.
It's what we wear.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. You're friends with a number of folks here in Houston. You mentioned on occasion you come here to visit, and you're friends with friends of our program here, Father Paul Felix, who's the pastor of the Church of the Annunciation in downtown Houston. How long have you known Father Felix now?
It's been a few years. I don't remember the first time we met. It's been a while. But, we I believe we met out at a ranch in South Texas in El Indio. most Texans don't know El Indio.
El Indio,
And
okay.
in fact, you were able to find it on the internet. There were times I couldn't find it. And I did, my first search, but I couldn't find it. But if you go to, I knew how to get there. Go to Carrizo Springs, head straight south from Carrizo Springs, and then you turn a couple miles and you're at the ranch.
And it's basically on the border.
Right, I could see Mexico.
Yeah.
I didn't cross over illegally.
No.
In their direction.
Nor would we accuse you of doing that, Father Mitch.
No, didn't. Always cross into Mexico legally. That's always good.
Yeah.
But at any rate, we were down there hunting, and he got an axis, and I was looking for a whitetail. I was bow hunting, so.
And have you always liked hunting ever since you were young?
Well, no. I grew up in Chicago. And in Chicago, you grow up as the hunted.
A little bit different. A little bit different set of circumstances.
Different. That's what I've loved about coming to the South. I get to be the hunter.
Right.
And not for people, but for critters that I can eat. I took to it right away. I'd learned how to shoot when I was a young boy. That I did. My mom had a friend, her best friend when she was a kid, who had married a Native American, and he taught me how to shoot. And he was very good. I always appreciated that. But we didn't get much chance to hunt. And truly, I was, when I worked in Chicago at one of our parishes, I was shot at 3 times. It's a rough town.
Yeah. So nowadays, of course, like I said, you live in Irondale, Birmingham area, I should say.
Which is beautiful.
Which is beautiful. A lot of great folks there. Again, you've been doing stuff with EWTN. What's interesting is that you were assigned there. You're a Jesuit priest, and you were assigned there.
Yes.
And over the years in doing that, again, you've had different programs. You participate in different ways with EWTN. Has it been rewarding to you to have this mechanism, if you will, whether it's TV or radio, to be able to foster evangelization?
Yeah, it's been an amazing thing. Frankly, if I had my druthers, I would be quite content to be teaching in a college classroom. I loved teaching college. It was just one. I taught high school for 4 years. At our schools, and 1 year at a diocesan school, Catholic school. And the last year I liked it, but I wasn't so fond of teaching high school. There's a lot more you have to do with discipline and all that, and I wasn't very good at that. But in college, I just loved it, and I liked the chance to develop a course, get the students to be able to know what they have by testing them, writing papers, all that. I loved that. I taught Hebrew for 9 years. You can't do that on TV because you always have to know that the student is building on what you said in the previous class. And that's something I still miss. But as much as I miss all that, it's worth giving up because of the outreach that EWTN has. I've been able to get to people that I would never get to in a university setting.
If you're just now listening, you are listening to Catholic Lunch Break here on AM 1430. This is Wyatt Goolsby talking with Father Mitch Pacwa. We're talking about building up the family here and how important that is in the society that we live in. One tool that we have at our disposal is the rosary. I know here, Father Mitch, in the Houston studio, you brought your rosary with you.
Of course.
Tell me about the importance of praying the rosary and what that can do for an individual who prays it on a regular basis.
Yeah. I had entered seminary in 1963. I'm a lifer. And I entered the Society of Jesus in 68. When I was in high school seminary, praying the rosary every day was a rule at the seminary. Now, we didn't live at the seminary. We lived at home. So we had to take care of that on ourselves. But every day we were expected to pray the rosary. And then there was a period in the early 70s where I and most of the people I knew stopped. we didn't say the rosary. I'll never forget going for a ride with an older Jesuit, Father Rick Thomas, out in El Paso, Texas. He used to work with folks living in a garbage dump on the Juarez side of the border. He'd go there, and he just did fantastic work. He got a lot of folks from El Paso in his charismatic prayer group to work with those destitute people living in a garbage dump. Got them housing, all kinds of stuff, really improved their lives. They even bought their own garbage truck and started their own business and were able to take good care of themselves. And we were going up for a ride to a ranch he had for kids, that they could go out there in the summertime and be away from the city. I called it the Lord's Ranch. And he didn't ask if I'd like to pray the rosary. He said, "You lead the mysteries while I drive." So I did, and that trip in '75 just clicked something. In fact, I did a book on the Blessed Virgin Mary, Bible study on Mary called Mary, Virgin, Queen, and Mother. And in that book, I dedicated it to Father Thomas, thanking him for getting me back to that. Praying the rosary daily has been a cumulative effect. I can't imagine a day without praying the rosary. I mean, it's been, every day for the last 50 years, that, and after a while, I just felt the urge. I need to pray all 15 decades or 20 decades now, every day. That's just part of my day. I might do it while I'm driving. And I always tell folks, praying your rosary while you drive is a lot better thing to do with your fingers than what some of the other drivers are doing with their fingers. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And there's a cumulative effect in praying the rosary. Not only are you praying instead of the nonsense that's on radio or on the other drivers and road rage and such, but also while you're praying the rosary, you are contemplating the mysteries of the life of Christ. Again, in the early 70s, you had people who said, well, we had to take the cross out of the churches and focus on the resurrection of Jesus. Or I remember one guy who was trying to sell a bill of goods to our department. He didn't. But said, well, I have a incarnational theology grounded in the sense of the universe. What are you talking about? Boy, you have no idea what you're saying. It just sounds stupid. And we didn't go with it. But the rosary has you focus on the incarnation of Jesus. That's a key part of our theology. Jesus became flesh. It also focuses on his ministry in the luminous mysteries now, and focuses on his passion and death by which our sins are forgiven, and it focuses on the resurrection. In other words, you don't focus just on the parts of the mysteries of salvation that you happen to like. Mm-hmm. You keep going through the whole of the mystery of salvation, meditating on the mysteries of the rosary, and you're doing it by praying the rosary. It gives a structure for accomplishing that very important goal of unity of the whole mystery of Christ. But also, by saying the Hail Marys, you're getting the perspective of his mother. I come to Jesus with needs for forgiveness for my sins. I come to Jesus for needs to overcome my foolishness and lots of other needs and prayers for other people. She comes to him and helps me see him from the perspective of a person who loved him with complete selflessness, the way only a mother can. Mm-hmm. And that helps me gain new perspectives on each of these mysteries of redemption. And I like that fresh approach. And, like I say, to me, it's a cumulative effect. It's not just, I prayed the rosary once, now has my life changed? That isn't how most of life works. You know,
You have to build it up, kind of like
I
muscles.
I kept hoping, because I liked spinach, and I kept hoping that my muscles would pop up like Popeyes if I ate my spinach, but they didn't. It's a cumulative effect of a balanced diet
Right.
that brings you up. And that is the same way with the balanced diet that you get in your prayer life, the balanced spiritual diet. This is the kind of balance we need, and the rosary is just a tremendous gift. And it's one of the titles given by the fathers of the church to the Blessed Mother is the destroyer of all heresies. So when you had Nestorius, who didn't comprehend the distinction between Christ's human nature and divine nature, but also having a completely divine personhood, the title given to Our Lady at the Council of Ephesus was Theotokos, the one who bears God, or the Mother of God, as they called her in Latin, Mater Dei. And that points out, not that she's divine, nobody is saying that. Calling her the Mother of God recognizes the person who is her son is a divine person. And this is a way to break through the heresy of Nestorius by bringing out his person is divine. And she's not the mother of a nature. She's the mother of a person. That's the way Mrs. Pacwa and your mama were, Ms. Goolsby. They're mother of a child, of a person, not of a nature.
Right. Yeah.
That makes her a functionary, not a mother. A mother is a relationship.
Yeah.
And that's a relation with a person. It brings all that out. And that's just one example.
Yeah.
You know, the Immaculate Conception was defined in 1854. Why so late? It was perfect timing. Because philosophers, beginning with Jean-Jacques Rousseau in the 1700s, Karl Marx in the 1840s, and others since then, were all claiming there is no original sin. That doctor said, no, all of you have original sin. There's one exception. You aren't it. She is.
Right. Yeah. I also love that name for Mary, by the way, Theotokos, meaning God bears. She bared God in her womb. It's so special, and we can draw closer to Christ through his mother, our heavenly mother, Mary. You had mentioned that you brought your rosary. Pull it out here, Father Mitch. You mentioned you actually have one that has your name on it.
Yeah, somebody made this rosary for me, and it's got my name on it. That's kind of cool.
I'm going to hold it up here just so the camera can see it. There you go.
It's got Father
Mitch.
Pacwa, SJ.
There you go. For Society of Jesus. Very good. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's something really
people
special.
Give me lots of wonderful rosaries. I've got one with a small cloth, small piece of the habit of St. Maximilian Kolbe. We don't have his bones because the Nazis burned him in the furnaces of Auschwitz. But we have, some people have little bits of his hair, and others have a little bit of his habit. And that one has a piece of his habit in it.
Okay.
That's a very precious one. I have one, well, it's one of my favorites. It's made from olive pits, from the trees inside the Garden of Gethsemane. There are 8 olive trees inside Gethsemane whose root systems are 2,500 years old. They were alive and bearing olives and witnessed Jesus' agony. And they're still alive, and they still make olives. And
that's incredible.
You know, because I've done so much teaching about the Holy Land and from the Holy Land, made the Rosary video in Gethsemane and other places in the Holy Land. The friars said, we usually give this to state visitors and, presidents of this, that, and the other thing, but you've done so much to promote love of the Holy Land that we'd like to give you one. So they gave me one of those rosaries. I was very, very honored. And I don't even take that outside. I pray that in my chapel at home.
Very good. Amen. Very good. So many important things we can talk about and ways to grow closer to Christ. I'm glad we have the opportunity to talk about that and talk about how we can build up the family. We can do so with prayer and through the rosary and, of course, asking for the intercession of our Heavenly Mother, Mary. Father Mitch Pacwa, I know you have a very busy schedule. You're visiting Houston. Thank you so much for coming on here and talking with us about these important topics and about your efforts over the years to promote evangelization through television and radio. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.